So now we turn to chapter 3, where Paul begins by talking about a little bit of his autobiographical history, what he's done, where he's been, the prices he's paid, so to speak, to get where he is. But notice what he says in verse 7. But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Christ. Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Christ Jesus my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Christ. He's saying, everything this world has to offer me, and you're there in Philippi, this metropolitan, very rich, prosperous, powerful, famous place in the Roman Empire, one of the central places of power. And he's saying, I count all of that as dung compared to the excellency of the knowledge of Christ. Fascinating that we live in such a prosperous world today. And if Paul were standing here today, I think he would be fascinated with all the amazing things we have available, but I don't think he would change his sentiment. I think he would say it's still what we're doing right here, right now, studying, digging in, trying to find the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ and the reality of the King, so that we can more fully serve him, love him, sacrifice for him, and build our identity around him and in him.
Again, Paul is trying to convince the Philippians, and us by extension, that Jesus' story should become our story. This we can see throughout the text. Paul is trying to say, Jesus gave everything up. He was God in heaven. He gave it all up and suffered the deepest cruelties that humans could imagine. And he gained all. And I, Paul, am willing to do the same. And Paul is inviting us to also just look around us and say, let us not get distracted by the trappings of the world and realize that we also have a divine origin. And we too are in a humble state, in a fallen nature, and we can suffer like Jesus and receive that for good so that we can be exalted back into divine presence of God.